Hey couples, it's Brian and Tracy, and today we want to introduce a term for you for the next time you get in a fight, the next time you're clashing with your spouse and one of you is pointing fingers and saying something like, you're always doing this or you're never doing this. There's a word for that, and the word is universal quantifiers, and guess what? They're not good. So we're going to talk about that today. Let's start with a definition. Universal quantifiers are words like always or never that are used to overgeneralize someone's motives and actions.
So think about your last fight and think how often these words come up in your arguments. I know they do for us, where I'm just tempted to be like, you never do anything nice for me, or you're always critical of everything that I do. And we say these things, and in our heart of hearts, we know it's like, okay, well, not all the time, but it feels sometimes like all the time. But is that really a fair assessment to kind of overgeneralize our spouse that they never do a certain thing or they always do something else? And so we want to talk about, why does that mentality, why do those words create a reaction in us, and why are they not helpful in our communication with our spouse?
So today we want to give you 3 reasons why not to use them anymore. Never. You should never use universal quantifiers ever again. Here's the first reason. They're just simply not true.
Yeah, think about the last argument you were in. You know, when I think about Brian, there's been times where I've said, you never compliment me. You never say anything nice to me. You know, my love language is words of affirmation. Okay, so if I'm honest with myself, of course, you've said wonderful things to me over the years. But yet when I'm hurt, when I'm coming from a place of hurt, that word, you never, is kind of like I'm going to dig at you. You've hurt me, or you've disappointed me, or not met my expectations. So I'm going to use that word to kind of accuse you or overgeneralize your motivations toward loving me and say, you never do anything for me. Which, let's be honest, what's that reaction in you when I say something like that?
Well, yeah, that's the second thing. They create defensiveness. So it puts me on the defensive because it's not truthful. And so now I'm going to defend myself against your accusation.
Right. And so then what's happening is you being on the defensive, now you're focused on that word, you never, and defending yourself and coming up with examples, or just kind of being put off by the fact that I'm overgeneralizing that your motives or your character says to me that you never are nice to me. It's unfair. So, but the problem is I'm coming to you with a hurt or a disappointment, but because I use that universal quantifier, you're focused on defending yourself because you feel like I've accused you of this overgeneralization. So we're not getting to the real source of the problem. That's why universal quantifiers just really get in the way of healthy communication.
And ultimately what ends up happening when you use them over and over again is that they chip away at trust in your marriage, which is so important if you want to have a healthy, lifelong marriage.
If you've watched any of our previous videos, one of the things we talk about is that trust is earned. It's not something that you just freely dole out to people, that we give trust to our spouse as they earn it. So if I'm using universal quantifiers and I'm kind of accusing you, Brian, of never doing something or always doing something, and you're on the defensive, that really makes it hard, for me to give you room to earn my trust. Like, no, you do sometimes speak words of affirmation to me. Or I could come to you and remind you like, hey, I kind of feel like it's been a while and I'm giving you room to earn my trust that you want to start to use better words of affirmation with me. But if we just accuse each other, if we just kind of see the worst in each other, if we just overgeneralize our bad behaviors, then we're really not creating opportunities in our marriage to say, how do we grow? How do I get better in that area where I'm lacking? How do I get you to stop using a universal quantifier and say, you know what? You haven't recently, but I know that you're capable of it because I know your character and your integrity.
So couples, pay attention to universal quantifiers the next time you get into a fight and do your best not to use them.